Boo.
Spook.
It's a spook.
Spook season.
Spooky. Spooky podcast.
Spooky
You done been spooked.
I don't even know. Yeah. Premarital sex. Ah!
No.
Not like this.
That's
Sex.
it. One
Okay.
time we were telling scary stories, and my little sister, she was like, I don't even know, she was like 7 or something like that. And she told this boring story, and we were all pretending to be like, oh yeah, whatever, Naomi, like that's great. And then at the end, she goes, they had kids, and they weren't even married, and like that was the funniest part
Oh no me.
of the whole thing.
Oh no
Yeah.
me.
I love the TikToks that go, sex. Okay. Premarital sex. No!
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And then they'll cover it back up.
It's like,
oh, okay.
the ones that's like, yeah, sex is great and all, but have you ever had that perfectly baked pizza pocket or something like that?
Facts though.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, the Christian side of TikTok actually has some hilarious things. It
Yeah.
actually has some
I
hilarious
was like-
memes, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I got rid of TikTok because I was wasting so much time on it.
Come TikTok famous.
So I did get TikTok famous, but not anymore. That's not a thing. Now I'm all in for Without Apology.
Hey.
Welcome to Without Apology. Thank you all
Yes.
so much for being here. I am Isaac Bogue. With me as always is the one and the only Stevan J. Gamauf.
Hey.
A. I knew
Alan.
it ended like
Alan?
that.
No,
it's
Alan?
not Alan.
What is it?
Don't tell us. We're going to figure
Okay.
it out.
Oh.
We guess every episode.
Okay.
Every
we
episode.
gotta guess.
So Alan, no. And River Thomas Harter.
We know that.
We do know that.
We do know
Fun
that.
fact about that.
It's Thomas River Harter.
Yeah. All right. If you guys are looking for something amazing to do November 6th through November 8th, I will let you know there is a retreat on that date. Collective, the college ministry here at Grace Church, is hosting a retreat November 6th through November 8th. If you are interested in being a part of that, you can DM the Without Apology Instagram account or the Collective Instagram account, or get a hold of any of us any way that you know how. It's fantastic. We're going to be going 2 hours away to like a woods lake place. It's going to be super fun. Word has it, Without Apology, we'll be there and may or may not be recording an episode.
Who knows?
Who knows? Who
Not
knows?
me.
Yeah, not River. River doesn't know.
River has no clue actually
Yeah.
at all.
I don't know.
Completely
But
lost.
it's gonna be a good time. So if you're interested in doing that, make sure you sign up ASAP as possible. It's gonna be fantastic. November 6th through November 8th. There's a retreat on that date.
So sign up now and,
And
don't be late.
November 6th through 8th. There's a little catchy song to it.
If you go on the Collective Instagram account at GSM_Collective, then you actually will be able to see one of us. We will leave it a mystery. Sing a wonderful song to you
Yes.
about this retreat.
It's
so
pretty
you should
good.
Check it out.
I think that person is actually going to drop all other broadcasting networks and pursue their country music career.
Yes, with quite
I would
many
never
albums.
do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who knows, River?
Also, if you listen to episode 7 or today's episode, you will learn how to win yourself a free Collective hoodie. So
Ooh.
if you find one of us at Collective, or you DM us or something like that to be able to claim your hoodie, this is the key phrase, okay? Ready?
Let's hear it.
Mango, tango, pineapple, smoothie. All right, if you
Mango,
come up to one of
tango.
us and tell us mango, tango, pineapple, smoothie,
Okay.
that's the secret word that you listen to this episode and you are at Collective and you're here to obtain your free hoodie.
Dude, I can't.
What's your favorite word from that 4-word phrase?
Well, tango.
Same.
But here's
Tango.
the catch. I'm going to add another word about halfway through. So you have part 1. So just ensure that you're listening. We're going to add another word halfway through. So right now you got mango, tango, pineapple smoothie.
Yeah.
But we're going to add another word. So
We actually
What's your
don't
favorite
even know
word?
what
stay
it is.
tuned. I just like mango and tango back to back.
I'm a big fan
Mango,
of that
tango, pineapple
tango.
smoothie.
I can't
Mango,
wait for
tango,
someone-
pineapple smoothie.
Someone's gonna
Mango,
see us at like Collective and just come running in the door, like bolting in the door.
Mango, tango, pineapple smoothie.
I can't wait, dude. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, that'll be great.
That's
But
gonna be
there's
great.
another word. So write
Yeah.
down mango, tango, pineapple smoothie and keep your ears open for the next word.
Yeah.
Before you find out the next word, our man Stevie Alex?
No,
Dang
You
it.
only get one. There's 2 guesses.
that's
Man.
too much. Hey, you know,
We have 7 episodes
we have
of
7
backlog.
episodes so far.
So
we gotta
we're-
catch
yeah,
up.
we still have 5 guesses.
Yeah.
So Steven has got a Steven
Aaron.
No. No, that's a third guess. So my hot take.
Aladdin.
That's the fourth. No, I'm kidding. So my hot take. You ready for this? You ready for this, everyone? This is gonna be the best hot take you ever heard in your life.
I'm
Okay, already wrong.
Ready? Pumpkin carving is one of the best parts of Halloween season.
That's not that. Everyone agrees with
No,
that.
no.
Who
Hold on,
doesn't
no.
like pumpkin
There's trick or
carving?
treating.
Hey, forget
There's
about
the
it.
Halloween
Okay, all
parties.
right, all right.
There's dressing up. There's so many different things you can. Don't even give me that. Pumpkin carving is probably, I will say, my favorite, and so therefore the hot take is the best part of Halloween season.
So
That's
we talked about
dumb.
in earlier episodes, there is the truth in your opinion.
Yes.
This is one of the episodes where that's your opinion.
As all hot takes are. That's the thing.
No, my hot takes.
No, Isaac. That's
Our-
that's Steve's truth. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's
yeah.
Steve's truth.
Don't even get me started on that.
Okay. Well, there we go. There's my hot take. Shot down, everybody.
I will
Thank you very
say,
much for watching. Apologies. We'll see you guys next. No, I'm kidding.
me and Paige, my most wonderful girlfriend in the whole world, we carved a croc into a pumpkin one time. It was legit. She has mad pumpkin carving skills. Like, it was insane.
Like a legitimate,
legit croc, like with holes in the strap and everything. Like, it was insane.
Wait, that's kind of nuts.
Check me out on Instagram if you want to see it. Isaac Bogue. It was seriously insane. And we were like, what are we going to do to top this year? And we decided we can't. So we just didn't pumpkin carve because we knew we couldn't do anything better.
Nice. We love that.
Just gave up. That's what you do.
Yeah, you just kind of give up apparently. Nice.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, what we're talking about today? What are we talking
Radio
about today?
voice, Steve.
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
Welcome to 95.5.
Welcome. Hey, 95.5. Hey,
Welcome
listen.
to Thought for Your Thought.
Yeah, what's his name?
I have no clue.
Wait,
Something.
I'll look it up.
Cornelius, I
Yes.
think.
Cornelius.
Welcome
Pennyworth.
to Thought for Your Thoughts.
Listen, I'm just saying 95.5 slaps. Just putting it out there.
Hey, remember when Air One was like, you were an
Yes.
edgy Christian if you listen to
Dude,
to
I wasn't
Air
around
One.
during those edgy
Dairy
times.
Merbles.
It's fine.
But what is his name?
Dairy Merbles.
That's his real name.
That's his
Shout out
Thoughts
Dairy Merbles.
For your thoughts.
Welcome
But
to
what is his name?
Thought for Your Thoughts.
Dan Castellanata? No.
No.
Huh? Whoa.
Castellanata.
You messed that name up terribly.
Oh, shush.
All right, so the podcast.
No,
today.
this is we
This
gotta
is
focus on
important.
this for a
I
second.
gotta figure out.
It's gonna bother me.
Dude, Parks and
until I
Rec be like
figure it
this
out.
sometimes, you know.
Leslie Nope. I think it might be. I think it's Dairy Merbles.
I could be.
I'm Dairy Merbles.
Welcome to Thought for
That
Your
doesn't
Thought.
sound right.
Cornelius. Oh, I'm Cornelius. Oh, you're talking about when the Eagleton guy is on it. His name's Cornelius something.
No, he
something.
goes.
Indutu.
There's
No,
a
it's-
whole thing here.
What does it say?
Dairy. So it is Dairy Merbles.
Oh,
So
yeah.
his real name is Adam Harrington,
Okay.
something
Adam
like that.
J. Harrington.
Dude,
Would
there's a whole. Oh my gosh.
Dude, would you be upset if
Are
I
you
said
upset? Are you
I've
on
never
this one?
watched
Yeah.
Parks and
It's
Rec?
What in the
great.
world?
You've never
I've
watched
never
it?
watched Parks. Okay, so now everyone's really gonna throw hate at me now. 'cause
Dairy
I've got my
Merble.
haircut. I've got no watching Parks and Rec.
Guys,
I mean,
Steve's
what
just-
else do we got?
Steve's just the worst.
Dairy,
I'm just
Dairy
the
is
worst,
is
dude.
filling in for David Parker, who left to study the migration patterns of nation squirrels, and hasn't been seen since. Dairy eventually becomes the full-time host, later co-host of Thought for Your Thoughts. Oh, played by Dan
That's the one.
Castellaneta.
Castellaneta.
Okay,
Yeah.
that
Just
that
because
is
you
a
start
joke,
talking
no.
in that tone doesn't
Welcome.
mean you're saying the word right.
Not at all. It's not it. It's not
Well,
it.
I'm glad we got sidetracked.
Yeah,
for
so
that.
glad we got so sidetracked.
Okay, so what are we talking about,
Well,
Steve?
here's the thing. When you hear Thought for Your Thoughts, you are automatically listening. And so that's kind of a segue into what we want to talk about.
And once again, in the wise words of Josiah Bogue, when you state that it is a good segue, it is no longer a good segue. But it is okay. We will still go for it.
Whatever,
so,
man.
we were sitting here,
Kill you dead.
and we were thinking, we said, what are we going to do for this episode? And good old Isaac Bogue says, let's think of some practical ways to go about evangelism.
Ayo.
Well,
beautiful,
Actually,
beautiful
there's more
topic.
to it. We were at, you can say it.
Oh, so we start. All right, so the first episode is actually all about why we did this podcast and evangelism, because we wanted to we thought that was just,
evangelism.
mostly evangelism, but we thought that was just so important that we needed to get that right off the get-go. But we felt that there's still so much more to add to that conversation, and how to make it more pragmatic, how to make it practical for all of us to go about our daily lives, and just kind of some resources, some acronyms, that we can use, or acrostics, whichever it is.
Some tips and tricks of practical evangelism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we're just super excited to share these things with you, Isaac.
That we've obtained some of these from other sources, and we're talking about some stories that it's actually worked. It's not like we're just throwing stuff at you that like you go into the field and you're like, let me tell you about Jesus, and someone's like, you're what?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like we're gonna talk about some stuff we've actually done. Shout out Austin Brenner. He's the one that actually told us that we should talk about this, and he had a cool story about that.
Boom.
I know, we were just talking to him, so shout out to that man.
Also,
Dime thrower.
Also,
True.
shout out to Ed Lewis for
To
telling me to fish.
Just Ed Lewis, just in
Yeah,
general.
dude,
Ed Lewis.
we need Ed Lewis up in here.
That's true.
What if he
We're
was
coming
Lewis?
for you, Ed.
Ed, if you're listening,
yes.
thank you.
Yes.
And also reach out to us, because
Please.
just point at the camera right now.
Point.
Steve,
How do you verbally point at something?
I don't know. You don't. And with that sound
Anyways.
effect,
Intro. Anyways.
Right. Okay, so we want to talk about like how to practically evangelize, and like how do we talk to people about Jesus, right? And it's a tricky thing, especially today where everyone's hypersensitive to like everything, and like our generation, like Gen Z, anyone after 1996 is like super hyper focused on like emotions and feelings and like respect, and that is good and bad all in itself, and every generation has its own flaws and stuff like that. So like especially today, I think it's like it's pretty difficult. It's a tight rope that you got to walk. And so we're just going to talk a little bit about like how can you walk that line at the same time talk about God without apology.
yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
I have a quick thing. So I was thinking about this on my drive over a lot, and I was thinking, what is the one thing that all Christ followers need to do this well? And it came to me, confidence. So many of us lack the confidence to go up to any one person and just say, hey, this is what I believe. So I was thinking, how do I get confidence? So one, practice. And there's a multitude of ways to gain it. So
Practice.
One, to practice, yeah. I think, so we're at Grace Church, right? And we have so many different different places where you can serve. So for me, I am an intern with Power Kids, but I gained so much confidence in talking about Christ by explaining the gospel to kids that are 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. You think, they're just 4 and 5. They're not going to learn anything. No, if you can make Jesus make sense to a 4 and 5-year-old, that's just the basics. You can set up a foundation for them. You can set up a foundation for anyone. And that's all you really need. And after that, it's like all my conversations after that flourished. So force yourself to get a little bit uncomfortable. And if you talk to a 4 or 5-year-old, that is one way. They don't care who's really telling it to them. They're going to forget you, but they'll remember what you say. It's one thing I've learned.
Yeah.
So just find a way to get plugged in somewhere and just start practicing and just go.
Yeah, I think that also you need to look at a precursor to this is we don't actually do the saving part. That's the big deal.
Yeah.
And so I think
Amen.
that the big deal, I said it again. I actually was on this a little bit ago. I was like, why do I keep saying the big thing is the big deal?
The big deal.
The big deal.
That big
No.
deal.
But I've actually been able to serve at our high school ministry here at the church, and they've been able to put me in to a position where I get to talk to a lot of people who are in kind of that rough spot in their life. So I get to deal with the people who just have a lot going on in their life, feel really stressed, feel really just away from the Lord, whatever that is. And I get to talk to them and really just have meaningful, deep conversations with them. And you get to see two sides of the I don't want to say spectrum, but you get to see two different paths. You get people who will hear what you say and completely deny it, and you'll get people who hear what you say and they really want to learn about it. And from that, you get to see people who fall away from Christ more, and you get to watch it with your very eyes. So kind of like the experience thing you were talking about, River.
Mm-hmm.
And you also get to see people who you're talking to, and they're growing closer to the Lord. So you're seeing two different things. And the more I see that path that people go down of not getting closer to the Lord, the more I want people, the more I'm like, I would hate to see somebody fall away from the Lord. The more and more you feel. It's like that confidence also can come from the idea of you getting out there, you're able to see the good, and you're also able to see the bad too.
Right. And how much do you have to hate someone to not tell them about Jesus, right?
Yeah.
And we touched on that before. If you think we talk about this every episode, I feel like. Like, if you think Jesus is real and you're not telling people, what are you up to, man? Like, what you doing right now? Because like that is like the thing. There's a reason we call it the Great Commission. Right? It's because Jesus said, "Go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit." Right? It's not like, if you get around to it, if you feel like it, if you're comfortable, if it, whatever, like, go and make disciples.
Now, and there's an actual tactic to doing this. Okay, so. Again, as I said before, Ed Lewis, the fish,
this guy,
the fish acrostic. So it's like friendly, initiate, story, hope. So I'm going to start with friendly because obviously that is like, it's general.
First, the F.
Be friendly.
It's the first.
Some people think they are friendly and actually they're not. Smile, be warm, be gracious, be approachable. And I think a huge part of that, which is the next part, initiate, you have to be relatable. When you start your conversation, get the other person to talk about them. Get them to talk about what they're passionate about and what they love, and eventually you've created a friendship. So from there,
everyone likes to talk about themselves.
Exactly. I'll talk about myself all day because I love me some me.
You're kidding yourself if you say no.
Yeah. And then the next letter is S. So story. Listen to their story. Listen to how they got to where they are right now.
Did you say I?
Yeah, initiate. So friendly, initiate, story. And with that initiated, I talked about being relatable. And you have to be, everyone is able to relate with some other person in some way.
Right.
One, we're both living.
But you got to go start it. Like, no one's going to come to you and be like, save me.
And that
sell me Jesus in 2 seconds.
You've got 20 seconds.
Like you got to initiate those conversations, and everybody wants to have those conversations, right? Like I was talking when we were talking to Austin. He was talking to one of the dudes on his teammates. He plays football at Ashland, and he was like talking to one of his guys, and was like, and the guy, and he said, "Sorry to get real deep on you," and the guy was like, "No, I wanted this conversation. Like everybody wants these conversations. They just like it's taboo." So you got to be intentional about it.
Yeah, and I've never had like all of the conversations that I've had like that ended up deep started off as some small talk, and then you kind of, I don't know, like just last week I've talked to this one kid before, maybe one other time, and it was like a small like, hey, how you doing? Like, what's your name? Oh, I'm this guy. And like, who are you? Like, how'd you get here? It's like one of those. But after that, we started doing one of those again, and I get sick of having those same little 30-second conversations like, hi, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah.
They're not,
it's like
nothing of substance.
Exactly.
Like, it's just being polite.
And it's like, that when you're talking to someone like that, they have so much more depth to them, to how they got there. Even if they're like 10, like, they want to open up to
Dude,
you,
Kids go through some messed up stuff.
Exactly. Like, be prepared to like, hey, actually, like, how are you doing, and what caused you to get to this point? Like actually be super intentional about their story.
Right.
Yeah,
you gotta want them to talk to you,
and you gotta want that person. Because you realize it's heaven or hell. It's life and death, right?
Right.
You gotta want that soul to go and be with Jesus for forever. And
if you think what you believe is true, and you're not, like,
exactly,
I don't know what else to say.
No, I mean you're
like,
right. Yeah.
If you think it's true, and if you're gonna sit here and tell me that, oh yeah, I believe in Jesus, oh yeah, I believe in Christianity, but then you're not gonna go and tell people like what Jesus actually has to say. Like, if you think anything Jesus said is true, you have to remember Jesus says, hey, if you don't know me, you will not inherit the kingdom of God. Like, you will go to hell. And people are like, yeah, I believe in Jesus, but faith is just for me.
Yeah.
No. Right.
Exactly.
There is a reason the Great Commission exists. And I will say it once, and I'll say it 120 times. Matthew 28:18, therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. But the best part to that verse, and then we'll get back into the fish. The best part of this verse is, we often skip over it, is verse 18. So Jesus is talking to the disciples, and he comes to them and he says, Jesus came and said to them, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me, right? So he says, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me, Jesus, right? And so with that authority of heaven and earth, he is sending you out with that authority. Right? To go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations, right? So it's not like, oh, River's got it. He'll take care of it. All of River's authority. Like, no offense, River's authority is not that much in comparison to all authority on heaven and on earth. Like, we We forget that all the time, that God sent us out with that ability, that passion, that authority. And what's the worst that's going to happen? Someone says no to you. Like, if you think this is real, I cannot stress this enough. If you think this is real, you have all authority on heaven and on earth to go tell people about Jesus. Exactly. And if you get shut down working for the greatest cause that has ever existed.
Yeah.
That's okay to me.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
I love that perspective. It's like you get shut down for pursuing the greatest cause.
Right.
Isn't that amazing?
But how many things do we pursue that are absolutely trivial and will die on a hill to vote this way, right? Like, okay, what if I die on a hill because I won't back down from telling you about Jesus? I won't back down about Jesus because I know all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. And if I think this is real, which I do, which Steven does, which the River does, if we think this is real, you tell people about it.
Exactly.
And, like, how much do you have to hate someone to not tell them about that?
Also, a quick thing. So there are going to be these people. Isaac is a fantastic example of this. So Isaac is one of the greatest skeptics you will ever meet. He will challenge you like no other. And I thank God that he's a Christ follower, because if he wasn't,
we would be in some trouble.
I would
have an anti-without apology podcast.
Yeah. It would be.
It's called I'm So Sorry.
It's called I'm So Sorry.
But you're going to meet so many more people like him. And it's okay to not know, like, right then and there. But if someone asks you a question, like, this is one that, like, Isaac asked me, like, a little bit ago. It's like, how do you know there's God? And he is a fantastic skeptic to this. And I was like, well, my personal testimony is like, oh, that's just, but how do you, yeah, okay, but how do you know? Like, are you sure that there's, and it's
right,
like,
there's like real skeptics in the world.
And people are like that. You have to be prepared for that. And then it's okay not to know right off the bat. But please, like, be able to go back, do a little bit more research. Ask people who are smarter than you. Accept that you're not the smartest person. That's step one. I am not. I know Isaac's not, even though he's a great skeptic. And I know Steve's not, even though he's also a good skeptic. But
no one is the smartest person. Like,
go research it.
Yeah.
Go figure it out.
Here's the thing with that. Like, you're absolutely right. There will be people like, who was it? Sean McDowell. He puts on these glasses and he goes, "Mr. Atheist, may I call you Mr. Atheist?" And he, like, pretends to be an atheist, but he's like a Christian and stuff like that. There will be people who are, like, hardcore against God, hardcore against you, and like know what Christianity says just to refute it and stuff like that. But honestly, the vast majority of people haven't thought about it, right? They're not like, the vast majority of people are not against God. They're just pro themselves.
Yeah.
And when you're pro yourself, and, like, by contrast, that's kind of against God, but they're not like, screw God, all this stuff, right? They're just confused, lost, they don't know, maybe they don't care, maybe everything in their life has, like, gone great up until this point and they're, like, fulfilled in their life, and they just haven't heard who the person Jesus is, right? And I think one of the best examples we see of this is just the disciples. Like, you get Paul, right, formerly Saul, who was actively against God, right? He was his job was to go from town to town and kill Christians. What a hobby. Right? So you have people like that who are, like, actively against God and actively against you. You have people like Matthew who are just kind of living their life, right? Just kind of, like, doing their thing. And all of a sudden they're introduced to Jesus. Like, people like Peter. Peter's just fishing. And then God's like, "What up, dude?" And Peter's like, "Oh, hey." And, like, right, stuff like that. People who don't know, people who are just, like, going through stuff, all that kind of stuff. Like, everyone needs Jesus, whether you're Paul or you're Peter, whether you hate God or you're just chilling, right?
Yeah. Sorry, Steve. I promise this is one of my last things. Okay, back on the fishing topic. So the Matthew, not the Matthew. The verse that I was, like, thinking of is Matthew 4:19. It's like, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." And that's where Jesus is talking to Peter, and I think his brother's name is James, right? I think.
Jesus' brother, yeah.
Wait, no. I'm thinking of Peter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Anyway, so Peter's brother, he's talking to them, and they're just fishing out there. He's like, "Yeah, come with me, and I'll make you fishermen of men." And that's, like, it's, like, completely different from what they know, but it's so much more of, like, oh, what is that? It's like, I'm fishing for
intriguing.
men. It's intriguing.
Christianity is attractive.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, follow me, and I'll show you what's up. And they did. And the last letter, because I want to get through this last acronym is hope. Encourage the person to follow Jesus and to know God's love. Be open to praying with the person. Pray with them right then and there. Talk about him. What difference has Jesus made in your life? Share the good news with them as Christ is the hope of the world. Now, you don't have to pray with them, and if they don't accept it on the spot, just offer to pray for them. Offer, like, hey, what are some things that you're going through that I can pray about? And that 99% of the time, they will say, yes, I have these things.
If someone says, hey, can you pray for me about this thing, right? Stop what you're doing. Because I promise you nothing's more important than talking to God about what this person – and that has like a big impact on people. When you stop what you're doing and you take 1 minute out of your crazy busy day and you take 1 minute and you just pray for that person, that has a profound impact.
Yeah. So I think that there's a couple things that I kind of want to say to this. The first thing is don't take what River said as like it's a systematic like assembly line of how you evangelize.
Right. That's just how
I would say that if I hear that, I would think of it almost as like this is like the acronym of how to evangelize 101. That is, it gives you an introduction as to what it looks like. But I was talking with Zach, actually, one of our good friends, Zach Beaver. Awesome dude. Really wise man. Yeah. He has a wonderful song, Keep Running, haha.
There's lots of songs.
Yeah, and he was telling me, he was just like, when it comes to evangelism, I just look at every single person as a person who is going through their own personal thing. And if you want to really show the love of Christ, you have to understand what that person's individual thing is that's keeping them and keeping their hearts away from God.
Yeah.
And that could take months, years, whatever. So it's not like the big thing for me is, oh my goodness, I keep saying that. The big thing. No, stop that. It's not the big thing. No, but
it is a big thing.
It is a big thing. The reason that I would say take that with kind of a grain of salt and don't take it in one light but take it in another is because it's very easy to look at evangelism as like I have to get as many people as I can, like this,
like a
this,
process.
this.
Like
yes, I have to go this, and now when I'm done with this, I got to go out and I get 2 more people. I got to get this. If you sit there for years and years and years and you're working with somebody, and that is the person who you're pouring your effort into, that's great. That's amazing. If that is a soul that God is sitting there saying like, hey, like Isaac, River, Steven, kind of push into this person a little bit, kind of be with this person a little bit, then I think that is what you kind of have to look for in a relationship level of evangelism. So yeah.
Yeah, so one of the most crucial parts about evangelism is we like to think of it like, oh, if I can just get them to church, right? If I can just get them to this event, if I can just
yeah,
right? How it works, how it's supposed to work is you being a Christian, live your life in full dedication to the Lord, right? Like nothing stops you, and like you're like you super love Jesus, and by super loving Jesus, you obey his commands, and you shine in the darkness because Christians don't act like everyone else. And Christians, if the life is lived as it's supposed to live, becomes an attractive person, an attractive lifestyle, right? And so with River's example of the fish thing, right? That's not like if you do F and I and S and H, then they become a follower of Jesus, right?
No, not at all.
That's just a mindset to have. And if you want something like hands-on and practical, something like that you can write down and remember, that's fantastic. But it's not a full, like 3 steps to Christianity or something like that, right?
Exactly.
Imagine a book's name that.
And the only reason I brought that up is because for me, like the one thing that I think Isaac and Steve would say this that I care about the most is having that foundation of a relationship.
Absolutely.
So that's like, and another thing. So we're called to love God, love our neighbors. If we love our neighbors, that means the people that know Christ, don't know Christ, everyone is your neighbor.
Anyone you encounter in your life.
That's your neighbor. Love them. And to love them is to teach them about loving God and why you love God, which is based off your identity, which is your identity is loving God. So also a correction, it's Peter and Andrew. Okay.
Yeah. Well, if you want a great model of evangelism, my man Andrew, literally every time he's mentioned in the Bible, he has brought somebody to Jesus. It's like, it's actually hilarious. Like I was reading, I was like, he's a new guy every time. Yep. He's like, and Jesus is there, and Simon was there, and his brother Andrew, who brought Barnabas. And it's like every time Andrew is like bringing someone to meet Jesus, and like that's how it is. That's you, one person at a time. You talk to this person, you love this person, and it's not like they accepted Jesus like, oh, okay, I'm done here, right? Yeah. Like I've had friends all through high school that have just never loved Jesus, and I've always talked to them about it, and I've tried my best to live my life like that, and it just hasn't worked. And then I have friends that I met, and 3 days later became a follower of Jesus, right? Stuff like that, it's just, you can't predict it. All you can do is live your life. So 2 Timothy 2:15, do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a worker who has no need to be ashamed, rightly handling the word of truth. What's that saying is, do your best to present yourself to God, a worker who has no need to be ashamed, right? I have nothing to hide. I don't have secret sin. I don't have this. I don't have that, right? Nothing to be ashamed of, right? I've handled the Bible correctly. I've repented of my sins, all this stuff. When we do that, when we live your life like that, it becomes extremely attractive, and people are just naturally drawn to you in the first place. And so that's the greatest tool of evangelism is relationship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. Also, I think we're all going to like open up a little bit and just share some of the experiences where we have been challenged with evangelism, where we just the way we've lived and how we've gone about it. So, Steve, do you want to open up and share a little bit?
Hit us
first?
with it.
Yeah.
Let's
So
talk
I have
about it.
a couple of things, and I'll explain this very, very quickly. That way we still have ample time for you two to share and show and tell here. No, I'm
Ample,
kidding.
he says.
I did say ample. Yes.
Sounds
I
like
know.
Apple.
So a lot of people don't know this. I'm actually not as long-lived as a Christian that I am a mortal man, as an earthly man. Woo woo.
Huh?
I know, right?
Dude,
I've
say
actually,
No, wait.
English.
What did you just
I don't
say?
even know.
that in
I don't even
English.
know. That was like so.
You haven't been a Christian
That
that,
was so,
long?
Yes, I haven't been a Christian
Okay.
that long. I said a mortal man like I'm somehow a god now. Like I don't know why I said
You
that.
mere
like,
mortals.
you mere mortals. You fools.
Steven Gamauf.
No, but
I haven't
I've been
entered my final form.
I've been a Christian at least now for around 3-ish years. I came to know Christ when I was 17, and so I want to tell a little bit about how my friend, she was probably one of the main reasons why I even became a Christian, why I even saw the love of Jesus, why I even decided to be even a thing that I'd look into at all. And what she did was, so I was at a very, very terrible point in my life, super depressed, super just sad in general, big sad man. And
Womp womp.
yeah, womp womp. And when I was in that point in my life, she had definitely come alongside me. And there was one night where she just simply said, like, I'm praying for you. And I didn't understand at all what that meant. I didn't understand the significance behind it. So I was like, that won't matter. Like, you praying for me is not going to make a difference in my situation. And she proceeded to, at like 1 o'clock in the morning, have a 2-hour conversation with me about what the heck prayer is, who God is. And I think what that showed is she could have easily just said, well, I'm praying for you. That's it. Goodbye. Close the Snapchat notifications and DMs and just gone to bed. She could have simply just pointed me in a direction like, hey, you should go to this person. Hey, you should go to this person. It's the idea of you might be one person's only light of Jesus in their lives. You could be the only person that's there for them in a time where they're sitting there and they're like, hey, like my life's crumbling down. You're the only one who loves this Jesus dude. Who is he and what is he? And the questions that they ask, the intentionality you have with people in those positions are something that they will never forget. And that could even be the sole reason, if you're pointing them back to God, why they even look at it, why they even look into this God stuff, why they even look into this whole entire idea of maybe putting a little bit of their trust in this guy named Jesus and seeing how that goes. You may be that person. And if God's placed you in their life in that position, you have to kind of accept that. You have to do that.
You should want that.
You should
love
want that for anyone.
Right.
And the other example that I have real quick is, so there's this guy that I'm working with right now who's in high school, and he keeps coming back and back every single week with another thing that is taking his toll, and the devil is winning over in his heart, and he keeps letting it happen. And so over and over again, I will get frustrated. I'll be like, man, like, he keeps getting, like, why is he not taking in this information? Why does he keep coming back? Why is he not listening? And I'll think of all this greedy stuff as to why am I not doing the work? Why is my work not working in him? Why? And it is so easy to get frustrated with evangelism if someone denies you. Like Isaac was talking about, people are going to think that, they despise God, and they may despise you for it, stuff like that. And even when that happens, I think the big thing is you have to understand the end game of it. You have to understand the end goal. You're fighting with God for this person's soul. Like, this is a life or death.
Not against God. You and God are on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you and God, you with God, are fighting against the sin of what
It's a
and
fight.
fighting
It's a
for
real battle.
their life. I mean, it's so intense, and when you see that picture, it's incredible. It is an incredible thing. So don't be discouraged because something might not work for this one time, for this one person. It's gonna happen. They're gonna sit there. They're gonna deny you and what you're saying, and they're gonna say many different things about you probably too. But keep with it,
Right.
and keep the heart going.
Yeah, and there's people who, like we talked about earlier, who will just like the Pharisees who just despise you and they hate you and they're just against you and stuff like that. But what does Jesus tell us about it? He says, count it pure joy, brothers and sisters, when you face trials of any kind. Like if you're getting persecuted and kind of hating on a little bit, you're doing something right.
Good.
I would, not because you're arrogant, because you're a jerk, but because you won't back down the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
Because you will relentlessly pursue and push the person of Jesus Christ. And if you're getting hate for that, good job.
Yes. Well
You're
done.
welcome on
You're
the
doing
show
it. You're doing
anytime,
it.
right? That is fantastic. And again, not because you're being a jerk, but just because you won't back down the person of Jesus.
Yeah.
And like even if you accept Christ, by no means do you just become a perfect person, just that, right? Like homie Peter, bruh. Homie Peter.
Oh, Peter.
This dude has chronic foot and mouth disease. Like all the time, he's just saying stuff and then right? This dude on fire for Christ, loves him with all his heart, will do anything for him. Literally tried to chop a guy's head off, missed and got his ear.
Yeah.
Right? And Jesus is like, put your sword away. Like, what are you doing, man? Come on, man. Homie loves Christ. And at the hour Christ wanted him the most, he betrayed Jesus 3 times.
Yeah.
Three separate times. Someone was like, hey, aren't you that guy with Jesus? He's like, no. He's like, aren't you that? And like, oh, man. And then Jesus was dead. And then Peter was like, crap, the last thing I did was deny him. And then 3 days later came back from dead and Jesus saw him again. He was like, crap, last thing I did was deny him. And all Jesus wants is his heart, right? And of course you're going to fail. And of course you're going to fall. And of course this, that, and the other. But pick yourself up. Mm-hmm. Pick yourself up. Christ will pick you up. Lay your cross. Pick up your cross daily. That's what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. Pick up your cross daily. And Jesus helps you with that, right? And it's like being open and being this is a thing I struggle with, right? For me, emotions and all that stuff, like, it's tough because my natural tendency is to be independent and like push things down inside and be like, well, other people have problems. They don't need to hear about my problems, stuff like that, right? That is a constant struggle for me. And thank God for these boys and thank God for the people in my life who have allowed me to open up to that. And like once I do, I just start crying and it's a mess. It's a big mess.
It's a whole
right?
mess.
But like stuff like that is the reason you have brothers and sisters in Christ. That is the reason one of the reasons you have Christ himself is to help you get through life. Help you thrive through life. Help you show Jesus to people, right?
Yeah.
That's like without these boys right here, like this show doesn't exist. Like all the collective doesn't exist. All this stuff doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And it's all just because like we love Jesus and we won't back down.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow, there's so much truth in that. Isaac, you're up next. Do you want to share a little bit about your evangelical experiences? I know I've just been sitting back listening to you and Steven for a moment, and like just so many thoughts, emotions, and feelings rushing up because you get those opportunities that you have, but sometimes you just don't do the right thing.
Right.
Or like, and it's like it's hard not to look back on those things and think, oh, if I only had done this one thing, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling a lot of those emotions. I'm going to share a little bit more about that in a moment, but first of all, I want you to go ahead and talk a little bit about that.
Those we call them at Grace no-brainer moments, where just an event and a situation in your life has presented itself to talk to someone about Jesus, right? No-brainer moments. It could not be more clear that you're supposed to talk about Jesus right now. And unfortunately, I remember one time at our high school ministry merge, our pastor was talking, and this is a guy I know pretty well, and he's an amazing man of God and incredibly humble and just real good speaker, and he just loves Jesus with everything he's got. And he was telling us that he had a no-brainer moment, and I was like, oh yeah. And then you talk to him, and then they accepted Christ, and he was like, and I walked away from it. I was like, what? You can do that? And he was just, that was a real moment of clarity, and I really respected him for opening up like that, because especially back then I was super, even more closed off and stuff like that. And so I was very impressed that he would open up like that, and we've all had moments like that where the no-brainer moment presented itself. And for whatever reason, like we didn't trust God, we didn't feel like it, like whatever, and we just walked away from those moments. And those moments are the ones I wish I could get back in life more than anything else, because you never know if that's a one-time thing, if it's never going to happen again, like all this stuff. You never know. So I urge you all, I encourage you, right? Because remember, it's not us doing anything. Every time I have opportunities to speak on the podcast or like on the stage or in front of the kids at Power Kids, every time I say the same prayer, like, God, don't let it be me, let it be you through me, right? You don't want to know what Isaac has to say. You want to know what God has to say through Isaac, right? Yeah. And that's like that is still true when we're evangelizing, just talking to our friends, talking to people, right? When those moments happen, the Holy Spirit is there. God is there. He's present, and he is with you in those moments. And so oftentimes myself and everyone just can get scared and get nervous and stuff like that. So I just implore you to take full advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah.
I remember I had an opportunity like that. So I went to CVCA for high school, and I played lacrosse all through CVCA, and that was pretty good. Not gonna lie,
Relax.
Yeah, lax, bro, for sure.
Relax, bro. Oh, boy.
Yeah. But I had quite a good number of opportunities to talk to people about Jesus during that. But I just remember one time, I think we talked about this on the show.
We might have.
We might have.
The Revere one?
Yeah,
Revere
yeah.
game?
Yes.
Yeah.
So one time, I had just got dumped, and like literally a couple days before, and then I went to go play that girl's school in lacrosse, right? So everyone knows about it. They're trash talking, like that's just how it is. And so I'm sitting with the dude on the other team, and he was like, "Hey man, I heard you got dumped." I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And he was like, "Yeah, I heard you never tried to quote this guy. I heard you never tried to get in her pants." And I was like odd phraseology and boldness for even saying something like that. But I was like, "No, dude, I never tried. I'm not about that. I don't want to do anything like that. I'm a man of God, and that's not what we do, right? We respect women, we love women, and we save that part of a relationship for after marriage." And I was fully expecting, just to get absolutely baked, right? Because everyone was listening, all this stuff. I was just fully expecting to get baked. And this dude goes, "Man, I really respect that. I really respect that." And then for the rest of the game, me and this dude, number 12, shout out Revere number 12, you OG. Me and this dude just had this ongoing conversation throughout the game about like why, as a Christian, I wouldn't do that. And like the benefits of that, and I talked about God's sovereignty and God's knowledge and all this and that, and he was really, really intrigued by it. And I never saw him again. I invited him to merge. I invited him to grace, but I never saw him again. But I have like full confidence when we have those interactions with people. We plant seeds. We plant gospel seeds in them, and like you don't know if your seed is going to be the one that sprouts and that person becomes Christian right then and there, or your seed is the very first seed that this person, or you're somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
None of those seeds is less important than another one. But the fact that you'd be willing, like if I was like, yeah, man, whatever, and just left it, right? Like that would have been okay, I guess, but I wouldn't have planted these amazing seeds like that. And so I encourage all of you with people. I know a lot of people listening, they have people in their lives that they're constantly pouring into, and it just feels like nothing's happening, right? Every conversation you have is a step closer to the Jesus. And I will say one more thing real fast.
You're good.
Also at CVCA, I remember this girl came up to me one time, and she was like in tears or something like that. I don't know what was going on. And she was like, I forget like what she said, but she knew she could go to me with a problem. And I'm not bragging on myself or anything like that, but I'm just showing you the power when you live your life after Christ, no matter what, the power that has on the people around you. And so I didn't really talk to this girl. I knew of her. I didn't know her. And she came to me and she goes, "I know I can talk to you because I know you love Jesus." And at CVCA, every single kid will say they love Jesus. And unfortunately, that's not the case, right? Just because you go to a Christian college, Christian school, do not make the fatal assumption that everyone there knows the name of Jesus, right? It's just not true. Yeah. Like, I wish it was true, and it's just not true. When this person came and said, "I know you're a real person because of," and started talking to examples about my life. And once again, I do not want to brag on myself. I want to brag on God nonstop. But I do want to point out the impact that it has when you live for Christ on your lacrosse team, on your school, right, in your sports, in your music, in your dorm, in your apartment, whatever you're doing. If you're living for Christ, that does not go unnoticed. Because that is an uncommon thing that happens, that you would sacrifice worldly possessions, that you would sacrifice popularity, fame, love, approval, that you would sacrifice all those things for the one person you know never lets you go and always has your back, the person of Jesus Christ. And just live your life for him. And I mean really. I know people with cross tattoos that go partying on the weekends. And I don't know that person's faith, only Jesus knows that. But I do know they're not living the way they ought to be living at that moment in time. And so I just implore you, if you think what Jesus said is real, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Living this way or doing that thing or saying this and not saying this, right?
Yeah.
Like if you think Jesus is real. If you think there's a 1% chance Jesus is real and what Jesus said is true, then that has an enormous impact on our lives. To quote Optimus Prime.
Yes, what a great quote.
Movie Transformers, great movie ever. They want the Autobots to leave because they say if the Autobots leave, Decepticons leave, right? So Optimus Prime is talking to government officials, and he goes, we'll leave, but consider this. What if you're wrong? What if we leave and you're wrong? Then they're just stuck with the Autobots, or with the Decepticons, right?
Yeah.
So you could take the gamble that there is no God, right? But consider, what if you're wrong?
Oh, yeah.
What if there is God? The ramifications of there is being a God versus there not being a God is insane. I look up Pascal's wager, right? He talks through this a lot.
Yeah.
If you even assuming God's real and following that and doing that, and then he's not, so what? You go back to dirt, just like everyone else thought you would anyways, right? But if you don't believe there's God and you live like there's no God, but there is a God, big surprise when you're not dirt.
Oh, yeah.
Big surprise. And
Yeah.
sorry I talked so long. I really want to get the River. So River, please talk to us about this.
All right. So for me, I've been a Christ follower, actively following Christ, I would say. Because, you have that, I accepted Christ when I was 5 or 6. But I didn't actively start following Christ until I was 16 or 17. I didn't actively start questioning what I believed until I was 16. So, and again, I didn't even start trying to pursue other people, and their hearts for Christ until I was probably 17. But in the time since then, I'm now 19, I have had so many opportunities to go and share God's word. And this especially was, I was very blessed and able to do this at Akron Children's Hospital. I used to do housekeeping there, which it wasn't a great job. It paid well, but it wasn't really anything that I would love to do. It's not fun. But the reason I stayed for so long, I was there for a lot longer than I wanted to be. But I stayed because of the relationships I built. I had 4 people there that were my age that were genuinely curious about the way I lived and the way I went about my life and why I would actively avoid cursing, why I would actively not have sex, why I would not just smoke, drink, why don't I
date girls to do
exactly all of those things? Why don't I do the things that they think would be fun for me to do? And I had so many conversations about well, there's this guy Jesus. I go to school for
There's this homie Jesus.
there's this guy Jesus, right? And he kind of he just redid my life for me, and I realized that obeying him is greater than everything else. And they're like, what does that mean? So I was able and privileged to have many conversations with these 4 people, and I was able to challenge them and push them in a lot of different ways, and just try this for a little bit. And they'd be like, dude, I tried what you said, but there's not a lot of life change, which was kind of hard for me. And then I was thinking while we were doing this, the impact of prayer. Prayer is just a ridiculously powerful tool. And I'm so embarrassed to say I never asked them, how can I be praying for you? Do you mind if I pray for you, right now? Because there are so many times when those people were struggling with different things, and if I had just asked them, hey, do you mind if I pray? Because I think my God's got it, Imagine the kind of heart change that could have happened if I did that.
No one says no to prayer either.
Exactly.
Right.
No one does. They'd be like, yeah, heck yeah, I'm struggling. I need help.
Right.
But it's I was so scared to pray for these people that I love. I love these people, even though they do not know God's heart. It eats me up. It makes me so embarrassed. Imagine if you had just put a little bit of effort into that. Guys, I know that my God's got it. Even if you don't see anything right now, he'll have it later. At some point, he'll intervene for you if you believe and have faith in him, put your trust in him, and love him. And then, I don't know, just thinking about that. And there's times when I've been able to do that. And I know that the words I've said, there's 2 things, actually. I'm going to hold on. There's 2 things that I think are really important for me. There's the idea of intentionality and caring about an individual. And I believe Isaac and Steve would say I'm an intentional person. I really care about an individual,
confirmed.
Anyone.
I can't confirm.
I really love people. But the second one is the closing deal. It's you have to be willing to stick up for what you believe. And I would love to say that I am that person that can close it, and I will tell you exactly what I believe in the end. But there's just been so many times where you're I didn't close. I didn't stick up and pray. You know. Yeah. And we all do that.
Everyone,
we
all the time.
All do that. Yeah. But there's you gotta have confidence, and it's just something that sometimes we lack. And it's not that there's been times where I'm not effective. I'm sure there's been times where I've been extremely effective, and I'm not gonna pat myself on the back for that. But
God's been effective through you.
God's been using me and using Isaac and using Steve and using all of you, and he's doing stuff in you. God is never not using you. He is so proud of you and the potential you have, and just like in the moment even, it's like it's just amazing how much God loves us.
Yeah. Dude, that's a whole
other
episode.
That's a whole and I don't want to like dive into this right now, but there's always moments. There's moments in church, like I know there's lots of people that go to my church that don't really know God. They don't know God, which is sad to say, but there's also like all these people also living for God too. Again, so God's gonna use you everywhere. One of the places that's just the most recent is like Akron Children's Hospital, where I got to talk to everyone and make sure that I made them know that I followed Christ above all things.
If you're lacking confidence, and I will again say, like, we do this all the time where we were just like, oh yeah, the Bible says that, but it doesn't apply to me. All authority on heaven and on earth has been given. Go and make, like, what? Yeah. That's like all you could ever ask for is like that's my big thing. The big thing.
Yeah.
One of my best strengths and one of my biggest weaknesses is I just go and like do stuff, right? Like someone says something ought to be done about that. Like if I say that, I'm like, I'm just gonna go do that
for better
or worse, right? Yeah. And part of the reason I can do some of that in regards to ministry is because always on the forefront of my mind, I have all authority on heaven and earth to proclaim the name of Jesus. So I'm just going to kick down that door. I'm just going to talk to that person. I'm just going to bust through the ceiling because I know if I'm going to do this for Jesus, Jesus got my back.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? Isaiah 6:8, here I am, send me. The mentality to have, that's just super great. Thank you all so much for joining us. Let the record show we're all on the verge of tears right now.
Yes.
Just talking about some pretty emotional stuff, and that is fellowship, and that's why we love fellowship. Episode 6, check it out. The last word. So we got mango, tango, pineapple smoothie. Ready?
Yes.
Mango, tango, pineapple smoothie, blitz.
Blitz.
Okay.
Oh.
That's it.
So if you come to myself, to River, to Steven, or you DM the Without Apology account or something like that, and you say to me, mango, tango, pineapple smoothie, blitz, you are entered to win a free collective hoodie. And those things are dope.
I can attest. Those things are so nice.
Steve and I both have one. Get with it, Riv.
Yeah,
no,
Riv.
they won them. I didn't get a chance.
I bought mine.
I won mine.
You bought
I won mine. Steve bought his. I'm always winning stuff.
I want to win one so bad.
I'm just a winner.
I should go and say, I heard. I'm going to go there, say the phrase to Josiah or Isaac, and like.
Josiah doesn't even know it.
Oh, I'm going to tell
Your plan is.
It's flawed, but I'll figure one out.
I remember my cousin yelled at me one time. Like we were playing basketball and like a shot like dinked its way in, and he was like, "You're the luckiest person I know," and I was like, "Well, I've been lucky for like 20 years, so I don't think it's luck anymore." But yeah, I won an Xbox at Momentum.
Really,
dude?
Yeah, you remember that?
Oh wait,
I won a hoodie. If there's a drawing, I feel like I have a 50% chance to win, and everyone else splits the rest.
You know those big, like the spinny wheels that like.
Yeah.
That go
Like Steve won a Yeti.
I did win a Yeti.
Yeah.
I collected.
I got jackpot 3 times in a row.
Dude,
on
that's
the
what I'm saying. See,
machine.
that God just has our.
Oh God.
Blesses me in the moment.
So anyway.
So thank you guys so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed. Please interact with our Instagram account. We have polls all the time asking for questions and just things that we can talk about and things we'll answer and people who have struggles. If you have something you want to talk about, we love to have guests on the show. Special guests coming up soon. Make sure to check out that collective retreat, November 6th through November 8th. There's a retreat on that date. So sign up now and don't be late. November 6th through 8th.
There you go.
At GCM_collective on Instagram. You can find more details there. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever your local podcasts are found. Thank you for listening to the best podcast in all of the world. And remember, you have all authority on heaven and earth.
Love you guys.
So go and talk to people about Jesus without apology. We'll see you next time.
Yes.
Mango Tango Pineapple Smoothie Blitz.